Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. The first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Mary Kelly. I spent 26 years leading multicultural teams in 9 different countries while I was on active duty in the Navy.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. We appreciate your willingness to serve in the Navy for all those years, so thank you.
Well, my family, it's not a big deal. My older brother, his wife, me, my husband, my sister, her husband, my younger brother, we're all military, and we know the value of working as teams. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot in our leadership.
And that's why you're on our podcast, because you know about teams, so thank you. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
The best thing about working with a team, in my opinion, is first off, you're better when somebody else is pushing you to be better. If you're competing in a sport and you're in one swimming lane and you can see the other person you're neck and neck with, it pushes you to go faster. And you're not thinking about what am I doing for groceries later or my dog or anything like that. All you're thinking about is that guy or gal ahead of me? And what do I have to do to stay ahead? So working as teams is both collaborative and competitive. And that's what's awesome about it. Working with other people who are smarter than us make us better, but they also have our back. And that's what's awesome about being former military and working with civilians now is understanding the value of how a great team supports you, especially when things are tough.
I love that. Great comparison to the swimming and the whole team collaboration. Love that. Thank you. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, right now, and you're probably aware of this, 70% of men and 30% of women say that they do better work alone than with other people. And part of the problem with that is we're not taught to work well as teams. Right now in our society, we are rewarded for individual contributions, not by how well we as a whole or we as a team did. And this incentivization is causing us to not want to be part of a team. And if we are part of a team, what we found in the workplace is your boss is just going to take credit for it anyway. So why bother? Why try? So we have been rewarded for not fully engaging as a member of the team. And that, of course, is the reason leaders find it so hard to get people engaged. And especially when there's a crisis, people tend to circle the wagons, say what's in it for me, because if there's not enough in it for them, they don't want to play nicely with other people. They're worried about being very myopic and protecting themselves. And this is where great leadership is the entire difference between an actual team that functions as a team or a group of individuals who just so happen to get together occasionally and head somewhat in the right direction.
Great insights. Love how you described that. Very well done. Thank you. Question number 4. What other piece of advice would you offer to a leader of a team?
I love how pro sport coaches recruit. And part of the way they recruit is they're not looking for, say, a quarterback or a running back or a shortstop for today. They're looking at building their leadership and talent bench for the future. They're not going out looking for their first string quarterback, their star right now. They know it's going to take some time to develop them. And many folks right now don't realize that if you bring in high-powered, high-engaged, highly talented people, but you don't help them work together as a team, that person's going to fail. 40% of the CEOs in our country don't make it past 18 months. And it's not because they're not talented and not bright. It's because they sometimes fail in the corporate culture area. They were maybe brought in to clean house, so nobody really wants to work with them anyway. They're there to do the hatchet job. And that becomes very detrimental. A good coach looks at what talent they're bringing in and looks at them as building their bench, and they're building a team as much as they're developing those people individually.
Great wisdom. That is so well said. Thank you. Question number 5. What other leaders of teams that have been very successful, such as yourself, have been an inspiration to you or a positive influence for you?
So I was very fortunate because I went to the Naval Academy and we had really good leadership training early on. That working together as a team was something really dialed into our DNA, our fabric. And this is what I think is so difficult right now for many organizations, is that teamwork is not part of their corporate culture. that somebody leaves and nobody seems to care very much. And I'm like, wait a second, you sat next to that person for 9 years and they're leaving and you don't seem sad. They're like, well, happens. I'm like, no, there should be real caring. There should be real involvement when a member of your team suddenly has to leave or chooses to leave, or something. There should be an emotional component that ties you together. Now, I say emotional component. I am a card-carrying, crystal ball-toting economist. That's what my PhD is in. We don't have a lot of feelings. But in the workplace, when you are trying to bring people together, you do that on a mission-based focus, with a vision-based focus, as well as an emotionally charged in a good way, like passion for what you do and passion for making sure everybody else is on board and getting excited about what it is we do, which ideally carries over into caring about the other people on your team. So my last book that I wrote was called Why Leaders Fail. This was the book 3 years ago. And I co-wrote it with a guy named Peter Stark. He's very good with teams. And somebody asked both of us individually, same people asked us the same question on different shows. They said, why is it so hard to write a book with somebody, and why would you ever do it? And so he said, it's like a marriage, there's a lot of compromise. But he said, in the end, we made the product better. And I said, it's like a marriage. Like, it's funny that we both compared it to marriage, and we are not in any way yet like close to that relationship. But what I tell people is writing a book with somebody is like having a baby with somebody you don't know well. You either get closer together or further apart. But I think that's true with any team. And so when they said, what's it like for you? I said, it's like a compromise, but you have to want what's best for the other person more than what you want is best for you. And that's something we in the military hammer home. That's why it's so important in foxholes that you watch out for your buddies, why it's so important in a crisis that you respond the way your training mandates, and that you're watching out for the good of the whole team. And this is, again, something really, really tough. I think football players do it really well, because you ask a football player if they've ever blocked for somebody, and you get a quarterback who thinks they're just the greatest thing ever. They might let him get hit a few times so that he understands that if everybody doesn't work together as a team, somebody's going to get hurt.
Wow, such great information. Thank you for sharing that. Final question, tell us about your first job.
My first job was flipping burgers at Wendy's. I was a Wendy's girl. And so I came home smelling like grease every day, which swore me off French fries for a good portion of my life. I still eat the burgers, by the way, the food's still good. And yeah, I flip burgers. By the way, the window is the prize place to be. Just so you know, that is the best place. Clean up in the back, salad prep, not so much. The people in the front counter, there. What you learn on the window is you learn to be able to listen to people talking to you while you're relaying orders, as well as getting drinks and things like that. So if you love multitasking, that's the job for you. I'm telling you, fast food restaurants have it down, and it's some of the best leadership and teamwork training ever, because you're talking to a lot of people who are working a lot of minimum wage. Sometimes you don't get the world's greatest leadership, but if you're thrown into there, you got to make it work. And that's, again, something that a lot of people don't always consider in the workplace, where we think, oh, I don't really like that person as well as I like this person, or I wish I could hire my own person. It's kind of the same thing in the military. We don't get to choose who gets assigned to us. You have to make it work. And this is where many people get discouraged. I'm like, let's say you don't have a choice. How are you going to make it work? And then they're like, oh, that's how I'm going to make it work.
Oh, such great insights, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing those with us, and also for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
I am at productiveleaders.com, because who wants an unproductive leader? It's productiveleaders.com. And if you're trying to find me, I'm usually close to dogs or wine, sometimes both at the same time, but it's Mary at productiveleaders.com. And if you go to a / after that and type in the word free, you will find the resources for free, no sign in, all the things I use all the time for my businesses, my leaders, my teams, forms that I need ready access to. I've been using my website as a cloud since before we called it a cloud, because that way I could find things.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's very generous of you. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.